The decision by the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign the Naira appears to be a two-edged sword. While the move has been commended as a masterstroke against corrupt politicians who have hoarded huge sums of money for vote buying during the 2023 general election, the economic fallout is biting hard on Nigerians as corrupt politicians and crime financiers scamper to exchange the Naira notes in their coffers to foreign currencies at ridiculous rates. More pressure is put on the Naira, while the dollar has become scarce commodity. The arrest of bureau de change operators in different parts of the country has failed to halt the depreciation of the Naira. Joining us now is commercial lawyer and financial consultant Akin Omishade. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Great.
Absolutely. Now, before now, the CBN has, put in place interventionist measures, to help stabilize the Naira. But the last one being the redesigning of the Naira and to also mop up excess cash in circulation seem to have plunged the Naira deeper to, in its free fall over the time. And I'm wondering what it is we are not getting right with our attempts at, ensuring we stabilize the Naira so far.
Well, thank you. There are so many things that we are not getting right, unfortunately. The redesigning of the Naira itself will add added pressure on the devaluation of the Naira, the downward spiral that the Naira has been experiencing. And other countries that have actually redesigned their currency. For instance, India did that some years back. 2016. And what happened? There was an initial positive response, but then it created quadruple inflationary trends. The efforts that the central bank in India was trying to achieve was wiped out. It cost more money to print. It cost efforts. And if the attempt is to halt what supposedly hoarders of the currency are doing, that wouldn't work because the hoarders of the currency in real terms have access to the monies that you are printing. So it's seemingly an exchange. And just like we found out, when you now reprint or you are redesigning the currency, what it puts pressure on is the weakened Naira gets weakened further. And don't forget that there are other ancillary factors as well. Already the Naira is swimming against the tide. There's no backup for the currency. The foreign reserves has depleted. Between 2017 and to date, we have a 98.7 depreciation of the Naira against the dollar. Now you're trying to mop up and saying, who is going to suffer? It's the poor man, it's the common man on the street, the masses that are going to suffer because you're saying 500,000 for the small businesses. Already, the people that have this supposed hoard of money can go to the BDC and buy at the rates because the currency against which you want to settle is the one that is stable. So they're going to hedge their bets and say, okay, I have 1 billion Naira. What am I going to do with this 1 billion Naira? I'm going to try and mop up in a stable currency and maintain my position. Now, there's now too much money chasing after a few little dollars. And what happens? The price of dollar will go up. The price of foreign exchange will go up. Officially, there is not enough to supply because we don't have enough foreign reserves. Our foreign reserves dropped by 9.67%. So now the scarce dollars that we have, so many people are chasing after it, the price will go up. So it's counterproductive at the end of the day. And then let us ask ourselves the real questions. You say you're putting a limit on how much you can exchange at a particular transaction. Who are those controlling the banks?
Big question.
That's a big question you've asked there. The issue there is looking at it, because what you have lined out, I wonder if there's any hope anywhere for the Naira. Because recall, in the past years, the last 6 to 7 years, we've been using our foreign reserve to defend the Naira. A lot of persons have said that would not work. And the window from the analysis we got that time was, we need to be able to produce. We have not been producing enough, and everything has been importation. But right now, what other window is there? Are we helpless? Is the Naira so helpless?
Before you respond, we need to quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We've been looking at the intervention or the redesigning of the Naira and the free fall of the Naira alongside. And Mike, you asked the question earlier before we went on the break.
I was asking how hopeless in the situation we are right now, because the point there is we have tried different. The CBN had tried different formula. Using the foreign reserve to defend the Naira in the last 7 to 8 years. It didn't work. Now we're talking about redesigning the currency so that all the money stashed outside of the system can be brought back in, and all of that. But then, from everything you have said, how hopeless are we right now regarding this area?
Unfortunately, it's very bleak. It's looking very bleak. We're a mono-economy system. We only produce crude oil. We only generate crude oil. We don't even produce the refined product. We are a consuming nation. If you look at the non-restricted list, look at all the items there. We are importing nails. We're importing finished wood. So if you look at that situation where we are not generating enough to back up our expenditure, we'll always be in negative balances. So what do? We need to kickstart our agriculture. The workers has 90% in the agri industry. What are we doing about it? Until we look at the other countries, the developed countries that have looked at ways of managing these negative balances. They've developed from inside out. And that is what we need to look at. And how do we ensure the manufacturing industry, the agricultural industry, that they are doing well? Look at the cost of running a factory in Nigeria. The man buys the diesel at 900 Naira a litre and does not know how much it will cost the following week. We've had businesses that are telling us we are closing down because last year, the income we made was $2.3 million. As of this year, we've only made 1.3 million, less than 50%. We've not even had any business in the last 3 months. So the central bank, the Minister for Finance, the Debt Management Office has to sit down and say, how do we kickstart our economy locally to generate foreign income? Our foreign reserves last year was 46 billion. This year it is 33 billion. So there's a shortfall. The question now is, how do we shore up that? Our Naira is benchmarked against the US dollar. In the last 3 months, the US dollar has appreciated. Even you saw what happened in England, in the United Kingdom. There were changes in the prime ministership. The sterling fell. Why? Not just because there was changes, but the dollar was getting stronger. Interest rates were increased by the Federal Reserve Bank. It affected. So any country looking at that trend will realize we need to kickstart local economy to grow. We need to assist local economies to grow, local businesses to grow. And local businesses are dependent on this scarce resource of dollars. Local businesses are dependent on importation. So it's almost like a vicious circle.
Right. If we're looking at kickstarting the economy, having proactive measures that would drive the economy, where should we begin?
Well, we begin from the lowest part. What do we have? We have agriculture. We used to have agriculture sustaining the economy for many years. It will seem that the advent of oil or the introduction of oil into our lives, into our economy, into this nation, is not a blessing but a curse, because we left every other thing to depend on oil. Now we export the crude and we buy in the refined. At what price? My argument has always been subsidy should be removed. Let the market float. Let the market forces determine how much it is. So if, for instance, I want to go to a dealer that will sell it for me at 200 Naira, and there's another one that will sell it for me at 205, but there's availability and there's no... Where can the government be spending 7 billion every month? Where are we getting it from? We are borrowing to pay salaries. That cannot be sustained. So we have industries. We have the agricultural industry. Let us look into it. We have the biggest, we have the best cashew nut. What are we doing about it? So there are industries that the government can concentrate on, and then we can gradually, it's not going to happen in a day, but rather than borrowing to service debts, why don't we borrow to develop infrastructural projects?
But this government has always spoken about, agriculture, driving agriculture, made policy statements, done several things with regards to agriculture. There's even I think the Anchor Bora scheme and all of that. But we have not seen that necessary result that we need to see that would push us forward, like you were pointing out.
Yeah. Well, you just said something. There are the programs. What about the implementation of the programs? You look at Osun State. There was a governor that brought in tractors. What happened to the tractors? They were there, they were given to the farmers, and they were like farmers' cooperatives, and then that collapsed. Now, you look at the value chain. Let's look at this holistically. You look at the value chain. I have 100 hectares of farmland. I give you seedlings, I give you tractors. But then I now don't give you the facility to store. Look at what happened with the flooding. Look at how many cows died. Look at how many products got rotten because we couldn't move them from one state down to the south. So if you look at all of that, it's the implementation. We have bright ideas. It is the implementation that we are failing at. We had the cows imported from East Africa into Kwara State not too long ago. Specialized cows. What has happened to it? So we need to ask ourselves those questions. Okay, we have these ideas. How do we implement it and follow it through the value chain towards ensuring that we don't just start it as sound bites and makes our ears tingle, but we follow it through. We have the farmers, you form them into cooperatives, and then you ensure that there are off-takers rather than, okay, we harvest and then they get rotten.
All right, this debate around or conversation around multiple forex that we have, the rate window.
Yes.
How dangerous is that really? Because it seems very impossible for government or the CBN to unify all the foreign forex rates that we have. You come to Lagos, if you want to change somewhere on the island or on the mainland, the rates, are not the same, they're different. You go to Abuja, it's different. There was a time we had close to about 11 rates.
Parallel rates.
Exactly. And exchange rates. And everyone has said that it's not healthy. You travel to South Africa, go anywhere, any part of the country, it's just one. It's just one rate. So talk to us the impact of that and why it is so challenging to unify all of the exchange rates we have in the country.
Well, there's only one word for it, scarcity. So everybody is determining their own price. We're in a market. We're all sellers. You get yours at 100 Naira. She gets hers at 105. I get mine at 99. We all want to maximize profit. But then I see that, okay, if I sell mine at 100, I'll attract more. You have yours. That is one of the, that is the reason why you have all these multiple rates. Because there's scarcity. There's no enough supply. But when there's not enough supply, you have to address the issue of supply. And once the issue of supply is addressed, then there is no incentive for me to have a favorable rate on the island and another rate on the mainland, or I go to Abuja, I go to Ibadan, or I go to Port Harcourt, and there are different rates. Once there is enough, the incentive to have multiple rates of exchanges will be wiped out.
Now the EFCC is going after bureau de change operators.
Right.
One is wondering how you look at this move by the EFCC, because it is said that those bureau de change operators actually get their monies from the bank. Why go after these bureau de change operators? There are those who are asking that question. What is the essence of this move?
Well, you've said something which is not an absolute truth, that the bureau de change will get the money from the banks. We know, and everybody knows that sometimes, as it happens, there's round tripping, whereby others get these funds and they push it out through the bureau de change because they can get it at better rates. If I have the good contacts, and we've seen it, there's abuse of the system. So going after the bureau de change is going after the secondary offender. That's the way I look at it. If you make sure that the scarce funds, go out to the needy ones, the manufacturers, the ones who are investors, and you allow foreign investors to come in as well, the Bureau of Exchange will know that I'm not going to maximize profits at all cost. But going after the Bureau of Exchange is just, you're going to create another artificial scarcity. Why? The man will hide, and then the price will go up, and then we're all chasing it again. Going after them is not the absolute solution. Of course, we are trying to look at money laundering issues because it's a very good way of laundering money. Cash system. When you exchange cash, they don't have all the systems to ensure that they're not laundering dirty money. But yes, they can go after them to try and put out a warning, a cautionary mode to whoever now wants to exchange whatever has been hoarded or put in septic tanks or stashed away.
All right, now let's talk about the issue of cashless policy.
Yes.
The central bank is trying to come up with, in fact, it has had this template lined out there as a way of trying to create a cashless policy. But we still have a lot of people who have nothing to do with the banking system or the account, who don't have accounts and so on. Talk to us basically, because the redesign of the currency, the central bank is trying to say, okay, fine, it's the beginning of a cashless policy that we're going to be seeing going forward. But how impactful is that going to be on the Naira? Okay,
don't forget the central bank said the essence of this redesign is there's excess funds in the system that needs to be mopped up. That there's about 600 million or thereabout counterfeit currencies in the system that it needs to take out of the system. Now, if you look at retail banking business, that is the biggest earners for the banks, retail bankers, the small businesses. But how many of them have been captured? Now, how many of those retail banking customers have 500,000 Naira? That's the issue. So there is need for education. Now, you look at it, you go to Idumota, for argument purposes. How many of those market women, those sellers, actually have a bank account? So that's why I say the education needs to come in. The bankers need to go there and say, open an account. It's not the era of you open an account and then we can't see you anymore. Now, when you encourage people to open accounts, that's the first step. Then we begin to go cashless. And then you teach the woman or you teach the man how to use his card, and he has a BVN, and then he can use his card to make transactions. Of course, now we have the digitalization of the whole process. So there's a process. It's good. We're going to get there within time, but we need to go to the roots. We need to go to the grassroots. If you go to Ile-Ife, if you go to Oshogbo, if you go to Shaki, if you go to the back streets of Nassarawa State, will the man herding the cows, does he have a bank account? So
in line with that question is also the adoption of the e-Naira, the digital currency, which a lot of persons have said that perhaps the CBN need to also look into that aspect for a lot of persons to adopt in moving forward with also the cash policy, cashless policy.
Well, the first thing is you are dealing with human beings. The question is, do I trust the system?
Right.
If I don't trust the system, that's why, first of all, let us even get the grassroots, the majority of the retail bankers to move into owning accounts. It's a process. And that's why I say we need to be educated. Not a lot of us are educated about the benefits of this cashless society, this cashless system, this e-money that we are talking about. But once we begin to move along that trajectory, that we have more than enough people using the banks, then we begin to introduce the next thing. You want to introduce e-money, digital money to people, someone that doesn't even understand the rudiments of banking. Just give me my money, let me have it, let me keep it under the bed. Look at what happened with the companies, with dividend warrants.
Yeah.
Many people used to get it in the post. And then what happened? NIPOST was interfering with dividend warrants and opening accounts, and then over time, people realized that, oh, I didn't get my dividend warrant, but then the registrar says it has been paid, and then to what account. So education, now we have e-dividends. So it goes straight into the account. It's going to happen over time. But then let us go to the grassroots.
I'd like you to paint a picture for our viewers to understand what could likely play out. What scenario would play out with this Naira redesign? What can likely or what would likely happen? How would it play out? What are you seeing?
Well, I see further pressure on the foreign exchange. Definitely. I see that the dollar will hit over 1,000 naira to $1. I'm not a doomsday soothsayer, but it's going to happen. Because the government is not reacting to these pressures. And we're all soon going to have from December 15 now, we're all soon going to be running to put in our monies. And then guess what? We're also going to we'll stop using this cash and we'll now be expecting. Will we have enough of that money? I give you an instance just before we came back. If I have 3 million naira now, what would I be thinking? I don't want your naira. I want the dollar because I don't know what your naira will say tomorrow. So I'll buy whatever I can buy with that 3 million today. And that is and I can't get it from the banks because I don't have a legitimate need for that naira. But I want to shore up my future. So I go to the BDC. And guess what? The BDC will tell me now all three of us are there. I have 3 million, you have 3 million, she has 5 million. Highest bidder. So you see the pressure, and we now don't have anything to give to the BDC or to the banks. More foreign exchange, further pressure. Now someone else comes in and brings in another 10 million, then knows the BDC. See? So that picture it's looking very grim. As we say, we've seen it in India. What happened? It didn't work. It created massive problems down the line.
So would you say that from this picture you have painted, would you say perhaps the CBN should rethink its decision?
I think it's too late now.
They are good to go, right?
They're good to go. They've gone to. They're not just going to start printing, and they would have been printing the monies now for circulation, for injection into the society. So it's too late. The only thing that I would advise, or the government should be doing, is how do we shore up the weakening of the Naira? How do we bring in more money quickly? How do we allow foreign direct investment to come in? How do we encourage? Now, don't forget that it's not only Nigerians that have been affected. That is what we also... Foreign investors have been affected. A few months ago, we saw the airlines crying out.
Yes.
And what happened to prices of air tickets? Lagos-London route, economy, basic economy class, 2 million naira. So we saw it. You thought it was just for the middle class? No. Now the poor man is crying because now everybody is saying, oh, what you bought yesterday is no longer the same because dollar has gone up. And guess what? Dollar is going up. What is the Naira doing? That's what we are experiencing. Because right now, everything that we are importing is dollar denominated. So we have that challenge.
Right. Now, one quick question I'd like to ask, because it seems a lot of people would like to understand how pertinent it is to have a currency that is strong for the economy.
It's crucial. It brings confidence. We're just talking about foreign investors. Ability to know that I've invested X amount in your economy. I can take back X amount plus more, my profit, in the currency in which I have invested it. Now, you look at it. I have invested $1 million. I can't take out $1 million. I've made 10 million naira. The 10 million naira, when I started the business, was supposed to give me 1.5 million. But today, it's not going to give me 1.5 million. It's going to give me 800,000. Would I invest in your economy?
Right. We have to leave the conversation here now because of time, but we must thank you, financial consultant Akin Omishade, for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.